Hello and welcome. 25 years ago, Kevin Henney wrote the following about the miseducation of C++. Let me quote. Many C++ books and courses start by teaching C and C idioms and then add classes and other C++ language features according to taste. Templates and the standard library are left until the end. For some reason, they are often considered advanced topics simply because they are more recent. Now, fast forward a quarter century. In his talk, The Real Problem of C++, Klaus Igelberger points out that the classic C++ mindset remains an issue. He reminds us that unfamiliar should not be confused with complicated. His main takeaway is we need to do a better job teaching modern C++. I fully agree with this conclusion, and I want to contribute to a solution. This is why I decided to teach C++ by guiding you through refactoring real production code. Not toy examples, no contrived exercises like building your own string type, but instead how to use the standard library properly. As an example project, I picked Bitcoin Core. Why Bitcoin Core? The reason is it is probably one of the most widely used, battle-tested, open-source C++ projects out there. It has its history. It has parts in the code that are good, but also parts that are bad and ugly. But there's something even more interesting happening in Bitcoin Core right now. If you check out the latest master branch and compare it with the latest release, you will spot some new files. In the source kernel directory, what you see here is a C API for the Bitcoin kernel library. This library abstracts the consensus rules, which is the heart of Bitcoin, and makes it available to other projects. And what is even cooler is that people outside this repository have already built language bindings for Rust, Python, Java, and .NET. I think that's awesome. But there's one thing that concerns me. Those language bindings are not consistent. Each of them provides its own convenience utilities. And that is a problem, in my opinion, especially if you want to consider the use case that people build a prototype in one language and then want to port to another language for production. For such a kind of migration, API consistency is absolute key. And this is why I started the BTCK project. I experimented with different language bindings and wrote design guidelines that ended up heavily influencing the Bitcoin kernel C API. But after a lot of hands-on work, I realized that I wanted to change direction fundamentally in two big ways. Number one, I want to drop the so-called hourglass pattern. The hourglass pattern is where you have a C++ code base and then a C API in the middle and a header-only C++ wrapper on top. What I wanted to provide instead is a modern C++ API directly, and then treat the C API as any other language binding. Why I think this is necessary, there are multiple reasons, and I will share them as we go. But here's the big one. In the current approach, we still have no good answer regarding error handling and API versioning. Now, C++ gives us language facilities to tackle both, and I want to use them. And you might ask, what? C++ has a language facility for API versioning? Yes, it has, and I'm not surprised by the fact that you are surprised. This is exactly one of the reasons why you need to get involved in teaching C++. And that leads me to the reason number two. I want to make this redesign of the C++ API public. And I don't just mean publishing the final source code, I mean making the whole development process public, building it out in front of a camera, sharing every step. So that's the plan. a modern, consistent C++ API for the Bitcoin kernel, designed out in the open. And I want to show you just not just the result, but the thinking, the trade-offs, and the real work that goes into it. And I want to use that as an example to teach C++. So if you're excited to follow along, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you soon. Bye.